Back on the collection videos. Yes, welcome back to this refurbished Kipper Smoke Shack, otherwise known as the Gaming Pantry, and this is the Retro Bear saying hello and a warm welcome to my Master System collection. It's one I've been wanting to do for quite some time now, and probably one of the collections I've got which I'm most proud of, which we'll explain shortly as we go through this. Let us first of all address the game in the room, which is Rocky running on. Well, running from the Master System. It's actually running through an Xbox emulator. It's actually one of the games that you will not see I will show off because I haven't got it. But yeah, I remember seeing that years and years ago in magazines and thinking, wow, that looks brilliant. It's a boxing game. Never actually played it. One day I hope to own it, but it's one of the games that has eluded me so far when I've been trying to pick up Master System games, due to the fact that I can never find a decent copy of it. It's one of those, anyway. Yeah, so during the course of this video, I'm just going to be talking through my experience with the Master System, showing off the games I've got. It's going to be spread across two videos, so part one and then part two, obviously. That's two parts. And I hope you enjoy this. I'll explain a bit more about my idiosyncrasies in terms of collecting for the Master System. And it's just a bit my experience. So if you're looking for a history of the Master System or something like that, yeah, I'll show some boxes off. There ain't going to be much, history in terms of the games and development. All I'll be telling you is my experiences and perhaps how I came across these things and what I've got from that. So it's one of those sort of videos. Let's show you what we're talking about first of all, though, because it is one of these gorgeous 1980s monstrosities. I say the word monstrosity, it's not really a monstrosity as such. It's just very 80s, isn't it? You compare that to the NES that was around at the same time, which is just a grey box. This is like a, I don't know, it's sort of, you ever remember the TV programme Red Dwarf? It's very much sort of like an elongated Crichton head. It's very strange with all these angles and cutouts on it, and it just looks completely ridiculous. It weighs absolutely nothing. There's very little weight in this at all. You think about something like this, you pick up a microcomputer the same age, you expect to weigh a ton. No, this one doesn't. It's very plastic. It's quite hollow, really. What it's got on the front there, that's where your old cartridges pop in. They go in there. Got some vents across the back here for ventilation. You've got a card slot at the bottom, because initially when this came out you could buy actual game cards and put them in there like the PC Engine. Power button down the front there, couple of ports on the front for your joypads. What else we got down here? Reset button, pause button. That lights up green when it comes on power. That doesn't really say an awful lot. Just rather good. And then that's the bottom of it. More vents and things on there. And there's your things that back, so you've got your power cable, got your AV out, and your RF out as well. So not much to see really. Now, if you were lucky to have one of those originally, well done, because Sega, in their wisdom, as they went through the life of both the Master System and the Mega Drive, decided to bring out a cut-down version which was cheaper to produce, took out some of the components that weren't necessarily, remodelled things, and generally made it a bit better. I say they made it a bit better. What they did, instead of coming up with something different, well, I said they couldn't do something different. They actually came up with this monstrosity. Now, this is a monstrosity. I don't care what people say. It's horrible. But I know a lot of people actually grew up with this version of it. So I might be sort of trampling on people's memories here, but that wasn't what got me into the Master System. That one down there was this one, isn't it? Your cartridges go in this useful toaster attachment it's got in the front here. You've got this giant big button which says power. I mean, it wasn't say on because it's taking the mick out of you. No, it isn't. That's the reset button. Sorry, that's the reset button. Yeah, that's the on-off button switch there. There's some vents there at the top. You've still got the option. You haven't got the AV out option now. You've simply got, I think it is the power cable. And there's something there which I can't quite read what it is because I'm old. So there's two options there, and that's the bottom of it. Yeah, I mean, I've only got one of these. I got it from a car boot for about £3, I think it was, just a unit on its own. Not really something I like, Did come built in with Sonic or Alex Kidd in Miracle World, which is why I appear to have a copy of the instructions, which has mysteriously appeared in my collection. So that was built into this. I think it is the Sonic one. One of them is rarer than the other. I'm not sure which one it is. If you were lucky enough to have the original, Just showing you very quickly. That came with hang-on built in. There's also a light gun game as well. There's a light gun peripheral for this. There's also some 3D glasses as well you can get for it as well, which are very, very hard to find in good condition. If you have got some of those in good condition, you're very, very lucky. And there's also another game called Snail as well, which if you did something with the controller before the game started, you were able to access that, like a maze game. So you got built-in games, which you didn't get with the NES. The only person, again, it's going back years and years, when we talk about people who owned NESs, do you know anybody who owned an NES when you were a child? Not really, no. My best mate, my old mate Jim, who I see about 3 times a year, he had a Master System. He all talked about Master System and games we'd never heard of before. And I always wanted one, because he had one. And it sounded good. I even offered to buy him off it at one point and pay him like £10 a week. Back in 1990, I think it was. I'd paid my Amiga about 6 months before that. So I offered to buy it from him, he never sold it to him. I think he's still got all his original stuff anyway. But it's always been a system that appealed to me. So obviously when I started recollecting retro stuff about 15-ish years ago now, it was a system I really wanted to do. But because it was so hard to find the boxes in good condition, I started going down the loose cartridge route. And over the years, I've picked up a few games. Now, let's fast forward here to about 2019, early 2020. Oh yes, that wonderful period in our lives, which we should never forget. And I've been looking for a system to collect for, which would enable me to build up a complete collection. Collecting all this plastic tap behind me here on the tap wall, or the wee wall as most people refer to it. That sort of stuff is dead easy, As people have said, if you can't find anything that's been basically made in the last 20 years, so let's say PlayStation 2 onwards, if you can't find a PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, Wii, PS3, PS4, original Xbox 360, etc., with a game disc and a manual, it's a pretty hard thing to do. You should be able to pick those things up relatively more straightforwardly. But go back, say, 30 years, and people who collect like the Nintendo cardboard, or you try and collect, say, the PlayStation 1, the Dreamcast, the Saturn, any NES, any Nintendo system, NES, Super NES, N64, to try and find actual complete copies with the original cardboard box, with the manual, with the inserts. And again, you're looking at things like the Dreamcast and the Saturn, where you've had the plastic cases, particularly PlayStation 1 as well. No cracks on the cases, no broken hinges. It's more difficult to find things like that. Hard plastic is a good one. And of course, the Master System and Mega Drive had hard plastic cases. So I thought, oh well, Mega Drive was quite expensive. I thought, you know what I'll do? I can probably, started looking at price. I thought, well, I could probably amass a fairly decent Master System collection. But for me, it's got to have a good box. It's got to have the hang tab on top of it. It's got to have the instructions in good condition. That's what I want. And if it's got that, I will start collecting that. And that's what I wanted to do. So I started swapping out all my loose cartridges for hard, sort of full case games. The only ever CEX roulette I've ever done in my entire life was a Master System one. This is, again, if I've got time, I'll stick a link in the description below. You can go back and see it. But then all of a sudden COVID hit, bang, and then prices of Master System stuff started to creep up. So I really wanted to start collecting on Master. I thought, well, I can't do that now, so I'm not going to do that. So I didn't, because obviously at the time, no one knew what was going to happen. No point in buying a load of games if we're all going to be dead in 6 months' time, or there's no point in buying games where am I going to be having, I've still got to have a job, I'm going to have a house, etc. All those things we had to worry about at that time. And once that had passed, and then I started collecting Master System again, and following those rules, hang tab, box instructions, I've gradually over time now built my collection up to 100 games exactly. I know, because I've counted them before I started doing this video. And I've only got 3 games now which have got loose cartridges. There will be some boxes in here which I will show off which may be missing the manual or the hang tab for whatever reason. Some I got boxed before I started collecting them properly, just because I've seen them at car boots or charity shops or whatever, when you can do things like that. So some of them fall in that wayside, and I will be looking to probably upgrade those if I can. But the majority of this stuff I've got here which I'm going to show you, of course, these 2 videos, has been purchased probably in the last 2 years, and on that basis. So I'm a pretty finicky collector when it comes to the Master System. I want this is the one collection I want. Whereas I'm not going for a full set. Let's get this out. Let's get that elephant in the room. Come on, out. Get the elephant in the room out of the way. I'm not going for a full set. I'm not going for a full set because I don't full set anything. I don't care what people think, say, whatever. I'm not going to do a full set. I've counted these up recently. I won't tell you how many I've got because I'm going to put that into a different video. But I'm nowhere near a full set, even with the amount I've got there. I'm nowhere near a full set. So that ain't going to happen in my lifetime, certainly, anyway. So this one here, the Master System, is if I can get as many of these as I can in good condition and not, spend hundreds of pounds going at it. I'm not going to. That's why I don't want to get. If I come across a game in good condition and somebody gives me a good deal on them, I'm buying, trying to buy, 2 or 3 in bulk. If people do me a good deal on them, I'll take it. If I find stuff in crap condition, I will do. And the one thing I will say about the Master System is the worst games to find that I really have difficulty in picking up. It's not some of the better known titles or the ones that you'd expect to see. It's the sports games. It's the great football, the pro wrestlings, the games like that you would expect to be 10 a penny, quite easy to find. The old ones like My Hero and that sort of with the strange covers. When we get to the games, you know what I'm talking about. Those I just cannot find with any decency condition-wise at all. The manuals are either, look like someone's been eating curry with them. For some reason, Master System manuals always have brown stains on them. I don't know what it is, but it's always coffee or curry or something on there. And the covers are ripped, or the hang tab's not there or whatever, and you can never find. I've been in shops. I've been in shops where they've got 3 or 4 copies of the same game, and every single one of them has got something wrong with them. You can't even bastardise, pardon the expression, a good copy of it. You can't do that. Some of them, they've got 2 ripped covers. That one hasn't got a ripped cover, but the manual's missing. But the 2 manuals in those are racked off, and it's missed off in that one. And then there's no Sega sticker on the side, which would be a good bonus if we got it. And then the hang tab's missing off all 4 of them. It's just impossible. You just cannot put together a good copy from 3 or 4. It's very hard to do. Sometimes it's dead easy, but not always. So what we're going to do today, we're going to show you the 3 unboxed games I've got, and then the first half of the main bulk, and then the second video we'll just do the other stuff as well. And I probably will follow it with a gameplay video as well, to just try and get some more gameplay out of this system, because it's a good system to play on. I like it. It's a fun system. I much prefer it to the NES because of that, because the colours of it, and I think in some of the cases and some of the games I've got here, there's some really, really, really lovely, well thought out conversions of games which are pretty good on other systems, but when it comes to the Master System, the colour palette, again, look at the bright, the reds, the golds. There's a real sense of colour coming out of them. The sound chip's not great. It's a bit plinky plonky. It's a bit like an ST, which is the ST's got no excuse for it, but that's another video. It's just, for me, it's an all-round good system. And some of the games that when you play them and look at them, and graphically, they're above the 8-bit micros. And they're halfway to the sort of 8-bit micro, 16-bit computers. I'm thinking of certain conversions of certain games, which again I'll talk about. It's almost like the 12-bit exists. You know what I mean? It's not quite 8-bit, but it's not quite 16-bit. It sits somewhere in the middle. And I know there's lots of Master System collectors out there. There's been a real interest in the system over the last couple of years, which is why prices have gone up. All credit to Ollie, 8-bit boy, also Clint. I think it's Retro Rewind. I think it is, of course, Tootie UK. Good, honest, hard, proper Master System collectors, not 2-bit con artists like myself. These guys really have hammered this system, going for full sets, even incorporating the really obscure additions that go onto certain websites. There's some sort of obscure Portuguese title, which now officially sits in the UK. It sits in the PAL list. Therefore, if you haven't got it, you haven't got a full set anymore. You've got to go and spend £300 to buy this rare Portuguese thing. Anyway, that's for something else to talk about. Me, I'm just collecting for the fun of it and the enjoyment of it. And that's what I'm here to do. As those guys are, they like playing the games as well, obviously. I'm not running them down in any way, shape or form, but for me it's about having a one collection in my entire hoard That's probably the best way to describe it. Hoard that I'm happy with and say, yeah, you know what, that's, you know, I've got all the bits for that. Not quite. We'll see. Well, not quite, but we're getting there. Right. So the 3 games I've got loose cartridge-wise. And this is all going to be in alphabetical order. So let's do the loose cartridges in alphabetical order. Try and remember where things come from. If I can remember where they come from, I can tell you about them. If I can't, I won't. First one I've got is California Games. I have seen a proper copy of that. There's nothing to show on the back, by the way. It's just that. But that's a system cartridge. If you haven't seen one before, and some of them are slightly different depending on the age and who brought them out. But yes, I've never actually seen a proper, a copy that fills my collecting need. So that's one there. This one was sent to me by Marcus over at Dad and Lads Gaming quite some time ago. Thank you again, Marcus. That sent me a couple of Wii U games, I think, as well. Super Mario 3D was one of them. This is a conversion of one of my favourite arcade games. Again, I have seen this, but again without the manual. So I shall keep looking. This is the Atari Classic 4-player coin-op Gauntlet, which is a top-down dungeon. You have to work your way through the level to find the exits on each one to move on to the next world. A game, I believe, without a finish, because it just keeps looping on itself. But it's a classic game from the era. You know, if you've never played Gauntlet before, it is, well, it's essential really. There's Gauntlet 2, there's a Gauntlet 3D, there was Dark Legacy came out on the PlayStation 2. I'm desperate looking to the corner of my eye, I can see the word Gauntlet. Yes, Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I think there have been other games in the series as well. And then the final loose cartridge game I've got, and I've had this for years now. In fact, I think it's the only one I've got left from my original run of picking up loose cartridges when I first started collecting for the Master System. And this is a copy of Mortal Kombat 2, which was, you see the difference in the label there. So you've got the logo of the game on it and also where it's come from. Now this, I can't remember, this probably come out of a car boot, I'm guessing. But the box version is a little more on the expensive side, so I'm quite happy with the loose one on that one. If I see a box copy, I'll have to see how much it costs first of all. So that's it. So basically now 3 out of 100 games are unboxed, which is great. So we're off and running. Right, speaking of off and running, let's get cracking, so we've got a hell of a lot to get through. First up, we have Action Fighter. Here we go. We get top-down racing game in the mode of Spy Hunter. There we go. We've got a manual. Again, with terms of manual, I'm not looking for pristine manuals. I don't care if the manual's got a dog ear on it or, you know, someone put any writing on the back. What I don't want it to be look like is if it was used as a napkin in the curry house the night before, with minimal tearing if at all possible. It's got the hang tab on top of it, which is great. There's a screenshot of the back. But this is one of the you can tell by the design of the box. This is the sort of early releases before Sega got a bit more creative with the box art. And again, a lot of people don't like these boxes, the art on the box. So the boxes are fine, but they don't like the artwork on some of these older games. They look really terrible. I can understand that. But also that's the era that they came from. So I've got no idea how I'm going to do this safely, because when you try to do 48 of these, you see the size of the boxes, it's going to take a little bit of time. Now this is probably one which deserves a much better cover. It's an absolute classic as well, and this is Afterburner from the arcades, the Sega hydraulic fighter jet arcade action adventure, which had a load of ropey conversions. I think the best one regarded as the original one was a Mega Drive, which I've got up there. Manual's not brilliant, but it'll pass as a well-used, well-thumbed copy. There we go. Again, sometimes the boxes on these don't click well, but again, you've got to try and find boxes. It's hard not to try and find a cheaper game, because obviously if you have a damaged Wii case or something, it's very easy to get hold of a cheap Wii game and swap the case over. It's not quite as easy to find hold of a good complete one of these anyway. It's much harder to do, but yeah. It's a good conversion. It's not great. It was never going to be great. You've got to remember the limitations of the system against the original arcade. But yeah, generally speaking, it's not bad. It just suffers a lot from anything goes on screen too much. It's not so much slow down. It just gets a bit messy. This one, I've never seen this before. I was absolutely stunned by the condition of it as well. Absolutely beautiful condition. I think I paid about 15 quid for this. So I do pay a little bit, you know, I've got this reputation of being a cheapskate over the years. Not so much in the last couple of years or so, but I saw this in good condition. I'd never seen it before. I thought, wow, this is a really good condition game. And you can see the difference about the covers. So this is Andre Agassi Tennis, or Agassi Tennis as it's known. Well, it says Andre Agassi Tennis, so I've probably got it. Was it in the right place? Yeah, I just need to move it around a little bit because it does say Andre Agassi Tennis. Anybody knows my filing system. It's made by Tech Magic. It did quite a lot of conversions. But this is lovely because the manual's in very good condition, and we've even got the warranty card in there as well, you can see. It's got a white label on that one. But yeah, I mean, I'd never seen this before. I didn't even know this game had come out for the Master System. It just looks absolutely beautiful. There's a few screenshots on the back there. I don't like tennis. Tennis is not my thing, but not bad. So there we go. This is Air Rescue. I can't tell you much about this one because I haven't actually played it. But I got this, I think, from Get Gaming up Gornal. My dear old friend John got me a good deal. And again, this is nice to find. Again, lovely manual in that one. Really, really nice. It's also got a poster, which is Sega. I won't get it. Show you that because some of you will know what it is, but it's just basically a Master System 2 catalogue designs a poster, but it goes in there lovely. I'm just trying to see, so I'm not sure, it may be a choplifter silkworm type game, I think. Not quite sure anyway, but again, it's a lovely condition. I mean, the hang tabs, I mean, some of these vary in terms of stiffness, pardon the expression, but a lot of them have got quite rigid, which is good. Some of them are quite loose. I've got a couple that may be falling off at some point, but no, again, it's a nice condition one, manual clean, everything nice about that. Again, I don't mind paying, I think that's 10 to 15 quid on that one possibly. This one I got quite some time back. Again, really pleased. I got this in Mega Drive. I got it on the Mega Drive recently. Well, this is Alien 3, another really good conversion. Really good conversion, this one. If I could get open. If I can open the box up, which I can't. Oh, there we go. But again, lovely manual on that one. Really nice manual. Sorry, I've enthused too much about the manuals. I do apologise. This is a platform shooter, rescue the prisoners, shoot all the alien games, based around the film. Alien Storm, which is a Sega arcade conversion. Again, one of the great things about this was when you went in the arcades, there were so many great games made by Sega that they all came to the Master System, and so they were really good. You recognise them immediately. That's why they had some of the big games. Not so that the NES didn't, because they got converted to some, but not all, everything made its way across from the arcades to both of these systems. So, you know, for me, it was things like, you know, Afterburner, Outrun, Operation Wolf, which was a Taisho game, I know. Games like that, but Sega game, but you know, well-known Sega games made their way across to the Master System. Again, side-scrolling shooter, aliens are invaded, you've got to defend it. There's a 3D section, took the 3D sections in that one as well. There we go, but again, classic game from that great period in the arcade. Another one falling into exactly the same territory, so I won't go too much in the description, is Alien Syndrome. This is the top-down, again, very much in the style of Gauntlet, but with guns and aliens. You get moving around, clearing levels, finding the exit. Again, I got this at a great price for recent, in the last sort of 15 months, I must be now, I'm guessing. But again, nice manual. I hadn't seen this one before, but it's a really, oh, I love that sound. Love that sound. There you go. This got converted to all sorts of systems years ago. There's an update on the Wii. It's not very good. And then we move on to some of the sports titles. Not picked out to sports titles. Well, you got to pick them up in their good condition. I hadn't seen this one before, and it's American baseball, which I got at the same time as I got Alien Syndrome. But again, having not seen it and thought, well, it's in fair condition. Manual's a little bit dog-eared. There's a little bit of marking on the cartridge label. But I like sports games. I like American sports. So in a way, that's a no-brainer for me, which is why I've also got this one. It's an American pro football, because everybody knows who watches this channel reasonably regularly, is I do like American football. Probably my number one sport, especially this time of year at the moment. especially this time of year. No, especially this time of year, September through until February. That's my time. There's also a catalogue in here as well behind the manual. When I mentioned Sega stickers, incidentally, that's probably the first one I've got come across this. There's a Sega sticker on it. If you find these on there, it's a bonus. Not all Sega stickers sadly survived. Not sure how this would play. Again, I've not played it, but it has, because obviously the NFL, American football games have evolved quite a lot over the years. It might be quite basic, but then again, American football back then was basic. That's another conversation for another time with people. And it's even got a password save option on it as well, which is quite interesting to see. But again, yep, hang tab in place. So these are all ticking the boxes so far. Quite a common one to pick up, but yeah, it's a fairly decent racing game. Not as good as the original for me. This is Ayrton Senna's Super Monaco Grand Prix 2. Which I think if they just called it Ayrton Senna's Grand Prix, it would have been better. I'm not sure why the Monaco licence was attached to it. Because the original is still one of my favourite arcade racing games. There's quite a few variants of the Grand Prix games on my system, as we will go through and find out. Next up, this is a compilation. There aren't too many compilations knocking around. 3 arcade smash hits, which is what it's called. Well, it's called arcade smash hits. And it's the Virgin Games release. And what we got here, I'm just trying a little slight water damage on this one. I wish my eyes were better. I could read and tell you what they are. Certainly one, there's a bit of a wobbly cartridge in that one. One of them Centipede, certainly. Possibly Missile Command. Sorry. No, I can't even read what it says. Missile Command, yes, Missile Command is definitely one, and Centipede and Breakout. So, Breakout, of course, was updated to Arkanoid. So, yeah, that's not bad. No, yeah, 3 games for, again, not a lot. Now, it's 2 games. Is it 2 or 3? I think there's certainly 2 I know of anyway. This is the cheaper one of the 2. I think there's another one which is way more expensive, if you can find it. But nonetheless, this is a cracking platformer based on one of my favourite cartoon books of all time. It's Asterix. Can't remember what the other one's called, but there are 2 games. This is definitely the cheaper one of the 2. Again, fair manual in that one. Nice hang tab on it. Doing very well. And yeah, it's very, very cartoony, again, platform game. But fun to play. If you like Asterix, you'll enjoy that. I'm pretty sure of it. Right. Pile 1, done. 3 piles to go. On to next. This is one of the early releases. You'll tell by the artwork on the cartridge. This is Black Belt. Now, this is very much in the style of Yi Kung Fu, which was a martial arts one-on-one fighter competition based, sort of like Street Fighter 2 of its era. An average manual, but everything else is in place. Again, it's one of the you'll see loads of copies of these about if you start collecting for this system. I mean, you can see what the attraction is, that the boxes, you know, the uniformity of everything. Okay, we got. Obviously, the Agassi box was a different colour, but you know, generally most of these boxes are white with the checkered background, so they all look nice along the shelf as well. It's all, you know, really, really good. We like that. Right, apologies for that. The camera froze, so we'll start again with Bonanza Brothers. Technical problems. I don't know. Hasn't happened for a while yet. So, like I said, I've played this on a few different systems. I don't think it's a bad game. Oh, there we go. It's broken now. I knew that was going to happen at some point. Oh, I need a new box for that one. Oh, sorry. Talk amongst yourself. Actually, what would have been better if the camera had frozen and I dropped the cartridge at the same time? That would have been a really good cut, wouldn't it? Anyway, there we go. Bound to happen. It was bound to happen. There we go. But yeah, it's you play 2 characters, or you can play 1 or 2 player mode, work together, and you've got to go in and steal stuff and get out without being caught. It's you know, very basic. It's got those characters which add a different dimension to it. But some people like it, some people don't. I think it's fair. I've played a lot worse over the years. Right, the Castle of Illusion, which again, Another fantastic game. Again, this is why I like the Master System so much. The Mega Drive version is fantastic, obviously. When it came out, it blew everybody away. This is just, it makes it, at the time, felt like you had a cartoon. So cartoony, so bright and colourful. I'm not knocking the NES, but I think, for me, the NES would struggle to do something like that. But again, cracking platform game. Really, really well done. More sports games for you. Again, probably one of the cheapest games you can find, and quite an easy one. This is based around Euro 92, the football game, football competition, and this is Champions of Europe. But again, you can find this absolutely complete and cheap for probably less, around about the £5 mark. Maybe a little bit less. I think this one cost me about £3 when I bought it. It wasn't that long ago, but I did buy a few other games with it at the same time. When I worked it out, it was about £3. But yeah, it's top-down football. But yeah, it's in proper condition. Really, really nice. Got this one again fairly recently. Now this one, there's a couple of things slightly not right with it. The cover's a little bit faded, and also it's missing the hang tab. But Chuck Rock, which I think I picked up because somebody mentioned it in a conversation I was having, and I thought, I'll keep an eye on that, because I played this on the Amiga originally, and then I, lo and behold, I walked in and I thought, okay, well, it hasn't got the hang tab. So when these were in the shops, people took them home and cut the hang tabs off because they're no use for them. I will be honest with you, they are incredibly difficult to stack properly, these, whichever way I do it. Most people know, as I do from behind here, I like to line my game sideways and get more on the shelf. But the problem with the hang tabs, if they're really stiff, they stick up, and if you can't be too vicious with them because you'll break them. So they do give a little bit of a pain in the backside. So with maybe no hang tabs is a good way to go, but to me, that looks like there's something missing off the top of it. You may or may not be able to see there. You probably won't see it, but there, it just doesn't look right. Anyway, so this is a platformer set in the Stone Age. Like I played it on the Amiga. I say it wasn't a groundbreaking game. It was very well reviewed, but a nice platformer. Again, this one, if you find this, you shouldn't be paying too much for it. Again, lovely condition copy, this one. And this is a Cool Spot, which I must be honest, when it came out, there was a lot of hype about, this is one of the best platform games ever, and I didn't really get it. But this has got a supremely thick manual. I'm trying to say that manual is really thick. For a Master System manual, it's thick, and it's there's no staples in it. It's actually sort of bound, which is unusual, bound like a book. But again, a platform game. Cool Spot, I believe, was a character which was promoting a well-known lemon and lime soft drink, which is incredibly refreshing to drink in both full fat and sugar-free. It's one of the joys of having a hot summer. That with a few ice cubes and slightly flat, not straight out the bottle, slightly flat. Very, 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 very refreshing. Now, we come across one without a manual, and I know because I got this ages and ages and ages ago. Again, probably did come with a bundle I picked up, or I got it from a car boot. This is Desert Strike, which is the isometric, based around the war in the Gulf at the time. Number of sequels: Jungle Strike, Soviet Strike, Train Strike. Don't think I've made that one. Interestingly enough, it was an Electronic Arts game, but converted by Domark for the Master System. It's obviously pared down from the 16-bit version, but again, very, very enjoyable game. Now this one, this game has a lot of stick for being so hard, particularly on the Mega Drive, and I've got it on the Mega Drive, and I love it. I just love the colours of it, and again, it does itself justice on the Master System. This I got from Doorway to Darkness last year. I think I paid about £7 or £8 for it, complete. This is Dick Tracy, which is based on the primarily on the Warren Beatty Madonna film of 1991, I think. But obviously Dick Tracy was a comic book long before that. Dog-eared manual. Again, with Doorway to Darkness, they tend to put everything in bags and tell you what's in there, so you have to trust their judgment, but go with what's on it. I mean, you can open the bags up and have a look. Again, I'm not so bothered about a quick iron on that now. But again, the colours, the whole trick behind the original film was it only used the original colours from the comic strips. which came out in the 30s, 40s, things like that. And I think the same thing was applied to the game as well. Not bad. The Mega Drive version will have you putting your hair out. Now, this is one of the games where I talk about conversions being really colourful and sort of all in that 12-bit part. And this is Double Dragon, which is a side-scrolling beat 'em up. The idea is to go through a number of levels and rescue your girlfriend. If you're playing 2-player mode, you'll get an interesting surprise at the end of it if you've never played Double Dragon before. Can't be many people who haven't, but this has been about 35 years. Terrible conversions to pretty much every single home micro there was. If you play any version of it, which I think is emulated or been recently compilation, they tend to stick on the NES version like they do with Double Dragon 2. But this again, well-worn manual, so it's got to add some use out of it. But it's graphically probably one of the better-looking conversions of Double Dragon. I'm a fan of the game. I've got the Game Boy one somewhere. I'm a fan of the Game Boy version. And some people said, "Oh, how can Double Dragon work on the Game Boy?" Well, it works surprisingly well, and that's a really, really sort of vibrant, colourful thing to look at. So it plays pretty well. This was Sega's attempt to bring ecological matters to our attention in the form of Echo the Dolphin, which was absolutely stunning on the Mega Drive when it came out. It's not a ugly game on the Master System either. Again, can't say I've played too much of this. It's not really something that inspires me to load up the Master System. Bit of a mark on the cover there, I just noticed as well. But all complete. And then you're playing a dolphin to go around and try and save the Earth, which we probably need right now. Can't remember. I got this, probably reasonably recently. It's had a bit of work on it. You may notice in the top corner. Looks like there was a price sticker there. At some point. It was. There was a price sticker there at some point, and someone's cut that out. And obviously, by doing so, they've cut the hole in the plastic covering for the slip, where the slip cover goes in. So, yeah, nice that one. F-16 Fighter, which is probably like Afterburner, but I've not played much of it again. Bit of a stiff case. Some of these cases do have an issue, which you may have already noticed. That's again just due to bending and how they're being closed, that the clasps sometimes don't line up. Interesting for this one actually, I'll hold that because it's wobbling a bit. This one actually has got a smooth cover to it. Most of the manuals have a paper cover. This one feels like it's got a glossier feel to it. So there we go. But yeah, some of the boxes do get a little bit damaged and squished in. And you can see there, that one for example, not quite shutting correctly because there appears to be a slight crack on it. If you look after it or hold it in place, it should be okay, but we'll try and straighten it out. And this came from the Canuck Game Exchange. Well, it didn't, but that's where it ended up at some point in its life. So it stayed in the Midlands anyway. And it's, Air Combat. Speaking of Air Combat, there's another one. We've seen Afterburner earlier. So let's see what the sequel was for Afterburner. And this is G-Lock. Now it says there, no manual on it. It also said 1999. I'm afraid to say both counts it's wrong. Because it didn't cost me $19.99 and there is a manual in it. Not a nice one, but there is a manual in it. And it has got the Sega sticker on the side. Some of these, I'm not showing you every single Sega sticker I've got because that would be silly. But this was the sequel to Afterburner, which I think plays better on the Master System than Afterburner did. But again, you're trying to convert an arcade machine which is based on high octane air combat. If you've seen Top Gun, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen Top Gun, you won't know what I'm talking about. Pile 2 done. Let's move on to pile 3. No grill in sight, but there is George Foreman's Knockout Boxing from Flying Edge, which has got a sticker across, some sort of label across the front of it. Flying Edge, I think, did the WWF conversions at the time of Master System. Nice manual. Again, not a hard game to pick up. It is boxing. Not difficult, but again, nice condition to find that one in. This one has always eluded me until I found it again in the last 12 months. Really, not great, not immaculate condition, but it ticks the boxes that I need. And this is Ghostbusters. Now, I mean, regular people to this channel know how much I hate the Ghostbusters game. This is one based on the 8-bit micro versions, the one I had on the Atari 2600. It's no relation at all to the Mega Drive game, which looks far, far better. That's probably about the best copy I've ever seen of it. The manual is, you know, used, shall we say. But it has got the Sega sticker on the back, which is good. But I'm not a fan of this game at all. I don't like it. But it's always been tricky to pick that one up. I've never found it in a condition I was happy with until then. But a few swings and a miss. I know I mentioned him earlier, John up here. Where are you, John? There. He found an even better copy, and he paid a lot less for it than I did. The week before we went one other game, and he said, "I picked this up last weekend." I was like, "Oh, great." He always got in there before me sometimes. Global Gladiators, which is sponsored by a well-known burger chain, which wasn't called Burger King. McDowell's, I think they're called. Again, not difficult to find this one. Dog-eared manual, but no hang tab on this one, sadly. And this again is a platform-based game, which is evolving around a little bit around the old ecology theme again. Arcade Classic, we talked about Sega conversions and you know, arcade games you want to see on the Master System, which didn't turn up on a Nintendo machine. Here's one for you here. Here's one for you here. Here's one for you here. It's Golden Axe. Side-scrolling hack and slash. No, it's not actually the great copy, and I've always had difficulty finding a decent one of these. There's no hang tab. The manual is tatty, I would say at best, and the box doesn't shut properly. But again, believe me, and there's a little chip in that missing out the cop there. It's not one of the ones I can ever find in good condition. And I think it was the case of, well, I'll just take it as it is anyway. One of my favourite games from the era. Played it, the conversion on the Amiga a lot, and finished it a lot. Golden Axe 2 I had on the Mega Drive, which I don't have anymore. Boo-hoo. But there we go. Next one up is another game, Golfomania. This one doesn't have a hang tab, sadly. But again, I don't think I'd seen this before. I thought I'd better grab it just in case. And it's got a ginormous thick manual and the Master System catalogue poster in there as well. Do like me, I've got a Sega sticker on. So again, it's ticking some boxes, but not 100%. But like I said, I can't tell you where I've picked it up from. If you can hear any music in the background, Mrs. Bear's testing stuff for tomorrow's event. I say tomorrow's event, this will be Sunday's event just gone. But it sounds like she's got some sort of 80s disco going on downstairs at the moment anyway. So apologies if you can hear that. Another sports game, another golf game, Great Golf. Did you say the top there? For up to 4 players as well. So there's your old hang tab at the top. Appalling Sega artwork on the front, everything's complete in there. So I've got 3 or 4 golf games, which you'll see. I don't think I've played either of those 2 since I picked them up. Now, you may have seen my video recently on box art. And for the uninitiated of you, firstly, thank you for everybody who actually clicked on it, because it did, in terms of views, rather well for a video of mine. It was meant to be ironic video. I wasn't being serious that FIFA games had the best box art. But I was right when I said I'm an expert on volleyball, because we've got great volleyball now. There we go. There was a volleyball game on the Mega Drive, I think, which came out initially. I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, I was quite impressed with that. So there we go. Volleyball manual, not quite as good. There aren't many games based on, but this is indoor volleyball, not beach volleyball, incidentally. So not many games you see about that one. Now this one here, Heavyweight Champ, this, I believe, is pretty much the George Foreman game, just slightly done differently, with a different cover and a different thing. Don't quote me on that. I may or may not be wrong, but the screenshots in the back could be right. I've got a feeling there's a connection between the 2 games. Now, this was one of the games I did on the old CAX roulette when it came through, and it ain't got a manual. But it's not too difficult to find, so I shall try to have a hunt around for that. I'm going to try and pick that one up. But yeah, boxing game. So although we've got boxing in the background, we've got this out there. We haven't got boxing. Got boxing on the Master System. This is a conversion of a 8-bit classic, Impossible Mission. Stay a while, stay forever. Yes, so it's again, it's a platform espionage game. You have to leap from platform to platform using this set of elevators and platforms, avoiding robots and whatever. Nice copy, no manuals, no hang tab, sorry, sadly. But I've not seen that one about a lot. It's not the best of boxes because it doesn't really shut properly. It sort of bangs together really, but when it's stuck between 2 or 3 games, it looks all right. But yeah, I've not seen that around a huge amount. I didn't actually realise it was a game that was converted to the Master System, so I was quite surprised to find that. Again, not overly expensive to pick up at all. This one, sadly, I know I haven't got the manual for because I've got this years and years and years ago, and my good mate Nath Retro was after it himself because it's a game he played an awful lot when he first had a Master System. And this is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the action game. So this is a platformer. It does have a Sega sticker on the side, sadly. For Stu sees that. No manual with that one, but I knew that hadn't got a manual. So it says at the back there's a sticker saying part of pack only, not to be sold, not to be returned separately. Interesting. So I think that's one. Is that maybe 3 we've now got no manuals for? Not many, not many. This game, I didn't even know this game got released on the Master System. It got released every other single system that existed, probably including the Nokia 3310. It may have done at some point, I don't know. James Pond 2 Robocod, which is a platform game, which was very, very popular on the Amiga years and years ago. And like I said, been converted to pretty much every single system since then. Nice copy of it though, nice clean copy. Manual's nice, got the Sega sticker on the side as well. You can even play this, I believe, online, like a DOS version. Tribes of people who've been untouched by human civilization have played some form of this game. It seems to be everywhere. It's one of those games that appears. This one, I've been an American football fan, I had to pick this one up. Joe Montana's Football. I had Sports Talk on the Mega Drive initially. I picked up Sports Talk 2 again over 2 months ago. Interesting sticker in this one. Was $29.99, now $19.99. I like finding things like that in there. Nice manual, cartridges in there as well. And the actual attraction of this on the Mega Drive was the fact that there was commentary on it, or as we say, generated commentary through the speech chip, which wasn't really very good. And obviously you're not going to get that on the Master System. But American football game. This one, again, I've had this for quite some time. No hang tab on it, sadly. This is Jurassic Park, based on the well-known film. Again, how many versions of Jurassic Park have I got knocking around? Loads. Nice manual on that one. Box is a bit tatty actually. Box doesn't shut properly, and it's a bit raggy around the edges. That may be possibly an upgrade at some point. But there we go. It's a platform game. It's not really based around the film much. Well, we got it on the Mega Drive. We got it on the NES, the Master System. I don't think it's on the. I haven't got the Game Boy version. I don't think no. Yeah, but I've definitely got 3 versions of it at least. This one of my all-time favourite games. Most people will know. I think I played this on. Did I do a gameplay on this? I'm pretty sure I did. Clax. I did. This is from Tengen. You can see again, slightly different cover on that one. We've lost because we've still got the cross patterns in the background. You can see there, but yeah, slightly different layouts on the front cover. Again, this is all complete. Really nice manual in this one. Very happy with that one. Got the old hangy tabs on it. Good. Oh man, what a game this is on the Mega Drive. Beautiful looking game on the Mega Drive. This is again slimmed down version of it. This is Land of Illusion. Mickey Mouse. Is this, I'll put the World Illusion, aren't they? World of Illusion. Forget I said that. I'm getting these games confused. Although this might be the version that came out on the Master System because it's just got Mickey Mouse in it, and you can't actually play as Donald Duck in this one. Because Donald Duck had his own games, of course. I don't know whether it's the same game and just named it differently. I don't know. Fun platformer. This one, man, this game should only ever be played with a mouse and only ever played on the Amiga. I'm sorry, but I've tried to play it on other systems. I just don't like it. Lemmings. It's a great little puzzle game. You've got to get your lemmings from start to finish without losing too many of them. But it just doesn't work on any system which hasn't got a mouse. Was there a PlayStation version? Because there was a PlayStation mouse, but I know there was a PlayStation version of Lemmings. And when I say Lemmings, I mean original Lemmings, not 3D Lemmings or Lemmings with guns. That was Worms, wasn't it? Yeah, but I just don't think it works outside of that particularly well. When I had it on the Amiga, it was great. Not difficult to find. You can find that fairly cheaply, but not one of my favourites. Marble Madness is a seriously old arcade game, which is again probably converted to every single system, including the Amstrad voicemail. And this is simple case of moving a marble down a series of platforms without breaking your marble, falling off or whatever, or dying or running out of time or what have you. Really bizarre, because this game was like, I think, mid-80s. Again, got converted to pretty much every single system there was going. I can't see what year this is, but I think it might be. I mean, it's Virgin, so Virgin, of course, became the official distributor for the Master System in the UK. So again, it's maybe very, very late 80s, early. So even by the point it came out, it's probably about 5 years old. But it's a good game, a good puzzle game. I mean, it's showing its age a lot now, but again, you won't go far without finding it. We saw the sequel in loose format earlier. We now have a copy of the original game, and a game that I enjoy playing on the Mega Drive. Believe it or not, I hate fighting games, but I do enjoy a bit of Mortal Kombat. Sadly, no hang tab, but I think at the time I said, you know what, I'll pick it up anyway. Dog-eared manual, but that's what it is. Again, I think this was probably it must have this, it must have that to it. And it got most of everything else. That's fine. Again, very, very easy game to find. If you enjoy your multiple sports games and Olympic games, it's for you. And it is based, Olympic Gold, sorry, it's based around Barcelona 92. Sponsored by Coca-Cola. These were always great. I always found these games great fun. Based around Olympic events. I'm not sure how many events. Or only seven. Bear in mind the entire Olympics. You've only got 7 events, but you've got the hammer throw, the 110 metre hurdles, archery. I can't see what everything else is on the back there. So it's not a full Olympics, obviously, but there we go. And another game which came out of Canuck Game Exchange. That's 2 in my collection now. But again, not difficult to find. Nice looking game on the system as well. Classic arcade game. I mentioned it earlier. Again, you know the Master System was going to do a good job here, and of course this was compatible with the Master System light phaser light gun as well. It had. This is Operation Wolf from Taito or Taito. Whatever. We've all got our own ways of saying it, whether it's right or wrong. I don't really care. Operation Wolf. So this is a 3D shooter in channeling the spirit of Rambo, I think is the best way to describe it. Great hulking arcade machine with a giant Uzi strapped to the front of it. If you know what I'm talking about, it's fantastic. I was lucky to get this one when I did get it, because the price this has shot up quite a lot since I picked it up. Again, not a great box, but these boxes do need a bit of attention to them. But this is Sega classic Outrun. And Outrun suffered having some really ropey conversions. Again, it's one of these games which, it's a sit-down arcade game with a big car. They've struggled to emulate things home, but they should have been emulated that badly. This is not too bad. Not too bad. One of the better versions of Outrun. There aren't many of them. There you go. It was never going to be able to replicate the arcade properly, but I don't think it did a bad attempt on this one. Box is knackered, but the hang tab is about as immovable as any that I've got. 3 more to show you, and then you can all go and do something else and wait for part 2 to be released later in the week. One of my favourite games as well, Pac-Mania. I'm a big Pac-Man fan, Pac-Mania, which when it came out, everybody said, oh, they're doing Pac-Man. What old hat that is. It's like, 4 years previously. 4 or 5, oh, Pac-Man's old hat, and this came out. 3D view, different graphics, couple of new ghosts in there, different layout. Everybody loved it. Amazing, isn't it? And Pac-Man is still going strong. You can see there's a different layout. It's really good, and this is a really, really good conversion, again making use of that fantastic colour palette that the Master System has. Did I say palette? Palette. I meant to say palette. Again, not too many of these games are too expensive. Not going to set you back huge amounts of money. Not seen this one a great deal, but I did enjoy this game on other systems. This is PGA Tour Golf from Tengen, ironically. Again, this is a game that came out via Electronic Arts originally. It ends up being converted by Tengen. Nice thick manual with a bound spine. And yeah, as golf games go, pretty good fun. That's golf game number 3 for those of you keeping count. And the final game in this video was sent to me by my good friend Martin, the Geek Master. What a lovely fellow he is. And he said, I've got a copy of this. He said, I'll send it to you. I said, oh, thank you. It's also an atrociously bad conversion of an atrociously bad game. This is Pit Fighter. Converted by Domark. And I think he even sent me a note with it. He sent me a note. Yes, I've got this, isn't here. Apologies for the delay in sending this. I may still have some Wii games for you later on. I'm not sure how sure what a link longer ago this was, Martin. But not sure what I want to keep on and get rid of. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about the manual. It's the only one I have of it, and you'll see what it is, because I don't know whether it was him or whether somebody else has been very creative with the old red biro there. But actually, I don't mind that. That will horrify some people, collection-wise, which I get. It doesn't horrify me in the slightest. I think it's quite funny. It's a terrible game, so it just brightens up my day. Anyway, there we go. That's Pit Fighter. That's part 1. So there we go. That's 51 of the 100 done. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, stick some comments in below. If you've played any of those games, let me know. Part 2 should be the next video that I do, which will be coming out shortly. It'd be great if you go along and watch that and see what else I've got. In the meantime, you know what to do. I'll leave that there for your consideration. It's always appreciated. And until next time, this is the Retro Bear saying bye for now.